Part 1, The Birth of a Legend. Have you ever wondered how a myth begins? How whispers of heroes and gods echo across thousands of years? Our story begins on the shores of northwestern Anatolia, where the blue waters of the Aegean Sea meet the endless plains of wind and dust. Here, more than 5,000 years ago, a small settlement rose, its people farmers, traders, dreamers. That settlement would one day become Troy, a city of power and poetry, of stone and flame. Troy began humbly. Archaeologists call the earliest layer Troy, dating back to around 3000 BCE. It was little more than mud brick homes and simple walls. But its position was perfect, guarding the Dardanelles Strait, the narrow passage linking Asia and Europe. Trade ships from Greece, Anatolia, and the Black Sea passed its shores. Wealth flowed in. Over centuries, the settlement grew into a fortified citadel. By Troy 6, around 1700 to 1300 BCE, it had become a marvel, with towering stone walls, massive gates, and multi-storied houses built for kings. Its people traded gold, tin, and horses. They built temples to their gods, and their markets rang with the voices of sailors and merchants from distant lands. It was a city of promise, pride, and destiny. But in the ancient world, greatness always carried a shadow: envy, ambition, and war. And soon, that shadow would come for Troy. Part 2, The Glory and the War That Changed the World. In the Age of Heroes, the world looked to Troy as a jewel of the East, shining, proud, and powerful. Its people were fierce traders and skilled warriors, their walls thick enough to defy even the mightiest armies. Legends say its king, Priam, ruled with wisdom, and his sons, Hector and Paris, embodied honor and beauty. But destiny was already turning its cruel wheel. When Paris of Troy fell in love with Helen of Sparta, wife of a Greek king, he took her home across the sea. And in that single act, love became war. The Greek world rose in fury. Thousands of ships crossed the Aegean, led by heroes like Agamemnon, Achilles, Odysseus, and Ajax. For 10 long years, the Greeks laid siege to Troy. Its walls stood unbroken, its people defiant. The gods themselves were said to take sides, Athena and Hera aiding the Greeks, Apollo and Aphrodite defending Troy. The battles were brutal, the deaths legendary: Hector versus Achilles, Patroclus falling, Priam begging for his son's body. And finally came the deceit that doomed them all, the Trojan horse, a wooden gift hiding Greek warriors within. When night fell, the Greeks emerged, opened the gates, and Troy burned. Flames devoured its towers. Screams filled its streets. The city that had stood for 1,000 years collapsed in a single night of fire. Its ashes were buried by time. And so began the silence. Part 3, The Fall into Myth and the Dreamer Who Dared to Believe. Centuries passed. Troy vanished from maps, living only in memory and verse. People told its story, but no one believed it had ever existed. It became legend, a tale to teach lessons, not history. Then, in the 19th century, one man refused to accept that. Heinrich Schliemann, a self-taught archaeologist and dreamer, grew up reading Homer's Iliad. He was convinced that somewhere, beneath the soil of modern Turkey, Troy still slept. In 1870, Schliemann arrived at a hill called 𝐂𝐈𝐓𝐾, near the Dardanelles. The locals saw a mound of dirt. He saw destiny. With pickaxe and passion, he began to dig, and the earth answered. He unearthed walls of limestone, ancient weapons, and golden treasures that glittered in the sunlight. He declared, "I have found Troy." Though Schliemann's methods were rough, even destructive, his discovery changed history forever. Beneath 𝐂𝐈𝐓𝐾 lay 9 ancient cities, each built atop the last. And among them, one, Troy 7, dated to around 1200 BCE, showed clear evidence of fire, war, and destruction. The pieces fit the myth. It was no longer just a story. It was real. The city of Troy had lived, thrived, and fallen, just as Homer had sung. Part 4, The Eternal City, Troy Today. Today, the ruins of Troy stand proudly in 𝐂𝐈𝐓, Turkey, their ancient stones kissed by the same winds that once carried Greek ships. The site is now a UNESCO World Heritage Treasure, where archaeologists, historians, and travelers walk among the bones of legend. Through modern science, carbon dating, radar mapping, and 3D reconstruction, we now know Troy wasn't just a battlefield. It was a civilization. A city that rose again and again, from Troy I to Troy IX, spanning more than 3,000 years of history. It survived earthquakes, wars, and empires. It stood through the Bronze Age, the Greek world, the Roman Empire, and beyond. Troy was more than a war story, it was a bridge between continents, a symbol of endurance, a mirror of humanity's rise and fall. Its fall gave birth to myth, and its rediscovery gave birth to truth. Walk through its gates today, and you feel it, that quiet hum beneath your feet. The pulse of a city that refuses to die. Outro, the flame that never died. Troy rose from humble soil to rule the ancient seas. It fell in fire, yet its memory survived empires. It vanished into myth, only to rise again, reborn through the hands of a man who believed in stories. This is the tale of Troy, the city that conquered death, the city that turned legend into fact. It teaches us that no civilization, no dream, is ever truly lost. Even when buried, it waits, for time, for truth, for belief. So when the winds whisper across the ruins of 𝐂𝐈𝐓𝐾, listen closely. For they still carry the voices of kings and warriors, of poets and dreamers. All telling us the same eternal truth. Troy was real. It lived, it burned, and it endures. And so, the tale of Troy reminds us that even the greatest cities can be swallowed by time, yet never truly forgotten. Beneath the soil of 𝐂𝐈𝐓𝐾, the whispers of warriors and kings still echo, calling out to every dreamer who seeks truth in legend and history in myth. If this journey into the lost city of Troy stirred your curiosity and imagination, then don't let it end here. Like, share, and subscribe. Join us as we uncover more forgotten worlds, ancient mysteries, and timeless truths hidden beneath the sands of history.